So, how did I get into Dragon Ball? Well, unlike most people who got into Dragon Ball of the 90s and early 2000s, I didn't. I started Dragon Ball pretty late, around 2010, on the Nicktoons version of Kai, and that's how I started out, watching, Dragon Ball Kai, doing my own research of Dragon Ball Kai, and then obviously, seeing clips and pieces of Dragon Ball Z, the uncut version of Kai, the GT, and even OG Dragon Ball. So, pretty long story. Um, and for the very first time, I even got my first Dragon Ball DVD, which was the first Dragon Ball Z Kai, part 1 and 2 of season 1, which had Kenji Yamamoto at the time. And then later on I got the entire, the Frieza saga all the way through, and then I got the Frieza saga, and then the Android saga. And then later on I stopped, getting into Kai, and then I was more into like DBZ, and and then like many years later in 2014, I got the Orange Brick sets, and then after that, I was getting into like Dragon Ball YouTubers like Quaman, Vegito 1089. But that was like before that. I was watching his like one of his like what if battles and shit, but I was like enjoying it more and more. But also like other than them, like Unreal T Gaming, um, Rhyme Style, Black and Fist at the time, Thundershot 69. Back in those days, and this is before even I had YouTube. I had a YouTube channel. I was like really into them. Like even I did like I was watching them when I was riding my bike, a lot, everything, you know. And then finally, in starting around junior year, I finally got a Dragon Ball t-shirt of Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta, you know. And also my first video game, which I forgot what came back to me in Dragon Ball, was Ultimate Tenkaichi. Going back, at the time, I loved Ultimate Tenkaichi because I had it, but a lot of fans didn't really like it. Even I got rid of it myself. And I should get more Dragon Ball video games, but that's different for another day. But yeah. Um, yeah, and that's how I got permanently. Now going back, obviously, to 2014 to 15 gap, well, the years. Yeah, then I got like, I went to Hot Topic for the very first time at the mall with my dad and my brothers, and we got a Dragon Ball t-shirt, Well, I got a Dragon Ball t-shirt, and that was pretty cool. And also, and then I started to get more and more and more, like more Dragon Ball shirts. I got a Dragon Ball hoodie. I got wristbands. I got cups. I got all of that shit, Even I got more DVDs, I was getting them left through right, you know? Like, even, of course, at the time, Battle of Gods, And even, like, I even saw Battle of Gods when it came out during 2014 in America. And I think a lot of fans came back, because of Battle of Gods. And then, of course, Resurrection of F. And then much later on in 2019 in America, well, in 2018 it came out, Dragon Ball Super Broly. You know, I love Dragon Ball Super Broly. I really enjoyed it. Um, and even that, like, I became, like, the Dragon Ball guy. Like, I was riding my bike a lot. I made new friends, from high school, for crying out loud. And even, like, when I used to play, dodgeball at the park I worked before I worked there. Like, a lot of people respected me there. They used to call me, like, DBZ dude or whatever. I mean, that was pretty cool. Um, and yeah, I did a lot. Like, I loved Dragon Ball, you know? And then now, here we are now that Akira Toriyama passed away a couple of days ago. And without Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball would have never exist. And I also have to tell you guys something. There's actually a friend who I know since childhood, but I'm not going to mention his name. But if we used to hate each other in elementary school, but in middle school we started to like each other, but it was Dragon Ball who made us be friends. If we didn't have that, none of this would have never happened. Me and him would have still been enemies. We have still been, arguing at us and shit like that. Like, we would still argue back and forth, and, at least I think so, but yeah. Now all of a sudden, like, I loved, I've been friends with him for years now because of Dragon Ball. You know? Um, yeah, but ever since then, like, Toriyama, passed away. You know? Many fans, you know, many fans on YouTube talked about, Toriyama. They, they made videos about him. People on the internet, not just YouTube, but like people from Fox, people from sport teams, governments were respecting Toriyama, like the Chinese government. They loved Akira Toriyama. You know, and like now, like, Toriyama will never be forgotten. And I will still love Dragon Ball. I will still love Dragon Ball till the day I die as well. And, as I said before, if Toriyama didn't draw Dragon Ball would have never existed. And me and the dude would have still been enemies. Well, me and my friend would have still been enemies, I believe. Yeah.